Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that's both complex and incredibly important: racial segregation in American cities. You might think segregation is a thing of the past, a black and white photo from a history book. But the reality is, it's still very much a part of the American landscape, shaping lives and opportunities in ways many of us don't even see. We're going to uncover some shocking truths and look at the cities where these divisions are most pronounced. This isn't just about statistics, it's about understanding the real-world impact on communities. So what does it mean for a city to be segregated in the 21st century? It's not about laws enforcing separation anymore. Today, it's about invisible lines, drawn by decades of history, policy, and economic forces. These lines determine who lives where, what schools their kids attend, their access to jobs, healthcare, and even healthy food. The primary way we measure this is with something called the dissimilarity index. Imagine a city is a checkerboard. The dissimilarity index tells us how many people of one racial group would need to move to a different square to create a perfectly integrated city, where every neighborhood mirrors the city's overall racial makeup. A score of 100 means complete segregation, while 0 means perfect integration. Generally, a score above 60 is considered very high. So, let's get into it. Which cities top this list? You might be surprised. The metropolitan areas with the highest levels of black-white segregation are often found in the Rust Belt and the Northeast. Cities like Milwaukee, Detroit, New York, and Chicago consistently rank among the most segregated. Let's take a closer look at Milwaukee, Wisconsin. For years, it has held the unfortunate title of one of America's most segregated cities for its black population. Driving through Milwaukee, the demographic shifts can be startlingly abrupt. You can cross one street and feel like you've entered a completely different world. The city's north side is predominantly black, while the southern suburbs are overwhelmingly white. This isn't an accident. It's the result of historical practices like redlining, where banks and federal agencies literally drew red lines on maps around minority neighborhoods, deeming them too risky for investment and home loans. While redlining was outlawed decades ago, its ghost still haunts the city. It created a cycle of disinvestment that led to lower property values, underfunded schools, and fewer economic opportunities in black communities, while white families were able to build generational wealth through homeownership in well-funded suburbs. The consequences are stark. In the Milwaukee metro area, the gap in home ownership rates between black and white families is one of the largest in the nation. This directly impacts wealth, educational attainment, and health outcomes. Next up, let's talk about Detroit. The Motor City has a powerful and complex history with race. It was a key destination during the Great Migration as black Americans moved north seeking jobs in the booming auto industry. However, as the city grew, so did the racial tensions and divisions. White flight to the suburbs accelerated after the 1967 rebellion and was further fueled by the decline of the auto industry. What was left was a city center with a concentrated and increasingly isolated black population. The famous 8 Mile Road became more than just a street. It became a symbolic and very real dividing line between the predominantly black city of Detroit and its largely white suburbs in Oakland County. Today, the Detroit metro area remains one of the most segregated in the country. The city itself is over 77% black, while many of its surrounding suburbs are over 85% white. This geographic separation translates into huge disparities in resources. The tax base in Detroit has been decimated over the years, affecting everything from city services and infrastructure to the quality of public schools. Meanwhile, the wealthier, whiter suburbs have well-funded school systems and robust public services. This creates an uneven playing field where a child's zip code can have a greater impact on their future than almost anything else. Now let's shift our focus to the Big Apple. New York City. It's often celebrated as a melting pot, a vibrant tapestry of cultures from around the world. And in many ways, it is. But when you look at the data on black-white segregation, a different picture emerges. The New York-Newark Jersey City metropolitan area is consistently one of the most segregated in the United States. You can see this clearly across the 5 boroughs. For example, the Bronx and Brooklyn have large concentrated black populations, while Staten Island remains majority white. These patterns were carved out over generations. Restrictive covenants in the early 20th century prevented black families from buying homes in certain neighborhoods. Then came the era of massive public housing projects, which were often built in already segregated areas, further concentrating poverty and racial groups. Even now, economic factors play a huge role. Soaring housing costs and gentrification are reshaping neighborhoods, but often not in a way that promotes integration. In many cases, gentrification displaces long-term black and brown residents, pushing them further out to the margins of the city, while wealthier, often white, newcomers move in. So while New York is diverse overall, on a neighborhood-to-neighborhood level, many New Yorkers live in communities that are racially and economically isolated from the rest of the city. And of course, we have to talk about Chicago. The Windy City's story of segregation is deeply woven into its very fabric. Like Detroit, Chicago was a major hub for the Great Migration. But as black families arrived, they were met with intense resistance and funneled into a narrow strip of neighborhoods on the South Side, known as the Black Belt. This was enforced through violence, restrictive covenants, and the real estate practice of blockbusting, where agents would scare white homeowners into selling cheap, then resell those homes to black families at inflated prices. The legacy of these practices is impossible to ignore. Today, Chicago's South and West Sides are home to most of the city's black population, and they face systemic challenges born from decades of disinvestment. Dan Ryan Expressway is often called the concrete curtain, a physical barrier separating black and white communities. Life expectancy can differ by as much as 30 years between a wealthy white neighborhood like Streeterville and a poor black neighborhood like Englewood just a few miles away. That's not a typo. 30 years. This staggering gap is a direct result of segregation and the disparities it creates in access to healthcare, jobs, safe environments, and healthy food. It shows that segregation isn't just about where people live, it's a matter of life and death. So why does this all matter? Because segregation is at the root of so many of the inequalities we see in America today. When communities are separated by race, they are almost always separated by resources too. Segregation concentrates poverty and disadvantage, making it harder for people to climb the economic ladder. It leads to underfunded schools that can't provide students with the same opportunities as schools in wealthier districts. It creates food deserts where residents have no access to fresh, healthy groceries. It limits access to jobs and transportation. It also affects our social fabric. When we live in bubbles, separated from people who are different from us, it breeds misunderstanding, mistrust, and prejudice. It makes it harder to have empathy and to see our shared humanity. It prevents us from building the kind of cohesive, dynamic society where everyone has a fair shot at success. Breaking down these invisible walls is one of the greatest challenges of our time. It requires addressing the historical injustices that created them and implementing policies that promote fair housing, equitable school funding, and community investment. It means building bridges, not walls. We need more mixed-income housing, better public transportation connecting all neighborhoods, and incentives for businesses to invest in underserved communities. It's a huge undertaking, but it's not impossible. And the first step is awareness. Understanding that these divisions exist, how they were created, and how they impact people every single day is crucial. This isn't about placing blame. It's about acknowledging a difficult reality so that we can work together to change it. We all have a role to play in building more integrated, equitable, and just communities. I hope this video has given you a new perspective on the cities you thought you knew. It's a heavy topic, but an essential one to discuss. What are your thoughts? Do you see these divisions in your own city or town? Let's have a respectful conversation in the comments below. Your insights and experiences are incredibly valuable. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the issues that shape our world. We'll see you in the next one.